say the same thing. So it appears to me that Dan Bilzerian is probably being paid by some sort of offshore account from Randy Fine's Israeli backers because he did it very strategically and very beautifully. So you could have been a very good contender, or you are a very good contender, but now we have Dan Bilzerian, who obviously it's very hard to go up against somebody like Dan Bilzerian just because he has the kind of name recognition. Like you see him, you know who he is. I mean, most people know who he is, especially if you're very tuned into social media, YouTube, all of it. And a lot of men follow him as well because of the kind of lifestyle that he lives or has previously lived. He's like this poker guy, allegedly, or whatever. But basically, what he did is come in and split the vote. So it's almost like he's going so anti-Jew, so anti-Semitic, so hard on Randy Fine. It's almost like that's on purpose. Like he's being paid by the same people that he's talking crap on purposely to make it more difficult for you. So Randy Fine has a shoe in because now Dan Bilzerian is splitting the votes and
Well,
making it harder.
I think Dan is taking away a certain percentage of votes. But again, if we go back to the electorate, average 57.2 years old, how many men between the age of 18 and let's say 30 are registered to vote Republican? I looked at one precinct the other day, and I can break it down because we've got all the voter files electronically on everything. And I looked at one precinct, and if I pulled up men between the ages of white men between the ages of 18 and 30 in that entire precinct, and keep in mind my precinct that I live in has about 800 people registered to vote in it, there were three, and none of the three had ever voted in a primary before. They had all voted in the last general election, but none of them had ever voted in a primary. So, you're not only searching for the, blue unicorn that is supposed to come save you, but you're searching for the blue unicorn with wings that doesn't exist. So, good luck. But, I think Dan is maybe a 3 to 5% candidate. I don't know how you get over that with the rhetoric that you have, or that that Dan has, because it's just not practical. You're always going to get some people that are going to be like, I'm going to go vote for Dan. But what you and I experience every day on online is not the reality of what's on the ground. If the reality of what's on the ground is the same as what's online, I would be sitting in Congress right now, and Randy Fine would be at home in Melbourne Beach because I would have won the last election. So I understand the difference between online and reality, and I think that that's something that Dan just doesn't want to take the time to even consider.
Well, my concern, Aaron, is there seems to be a coordinated attack, to Mia's point. Like, this is coordinated. First, it was him jumping in. Now this attack on you. Also, this simultaneous attack on Nick Fuentes. I know you spoke with him. So I'm going to pivot to my next question. What happened with As a Pack? Why are they now backing in? What have they told you? And what is your future support you'll be having? Do you have any other organizations backing you?
So that's a very interesting question, because originally As a Pack had reached out, and this was in the summer of last year, I think July, August, sometime of last year, and the first candidate they endorsed was Jose Vega. The second candidate that they endorsed was me, and the third candidate that they endorsed was Mike Wilnow, who was running in the 11th congressional district, which is right next to 6th here in Florida. So we had very good relationship. However, and both Mike and I had traveled from Florida to an event that Dr. Rechtenwald, who was the founder of As a Pack, was at with Shabbos Kestenbaum in Atlantic City at Word War Debate. And this was back in, I think, January. So, I mean, these are people that we've met in person, people that we've talked to, people that we've sat down and had a meal with, both Mike and I. However, I think the problem is people think that, okay, if somebody has 30 million Instagram followers, that's going to help me raise more money. And that's going to help me do different things. If you look at the finances, and I'll let the independent journalist take a look at the finances of the PAC, but you can see where the money goes, and I don't think the old saying, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." I don't. I think that as a PAC might have been started with the best of intentions, but I don't know that. I had conversations with him as recent as last week, and I spoke to the treasurer as recent as yesterday morning, who gave me no indication at all that they were going to drop me. And the conversations that I was having with them was specifically about Dan, because I said, how do you want me to still be a part of this PAC? How, at some point I may have to step away from this PAC, because I don't agree with someone saying, I'm going to pick up arms and go exterminate Israelis. That to me is no better than Randy Fine saying, may the streets of Gaza overflow with their blood. So, I mean, we're trading, far right for ultra far right. I don't agree with either one of those positions. It's pretty simple for me. I just want to stop killing people. And then beyond that, we'll figure out a lot of other things. So I
can
don't
relate.
know.
I'm questioning, am I still a conservative or a Republican? Because I don't support this whole, giving endless money to Israel and killing kids, but I also don't support this far right extremism of lumping all Jewish people in this horrible box and saying that they're terrible, horrible people and we should just go after them. It gives me H vibes. It gives me Nazi vibes, and I'm not with that. And this is what he has to say, and then I'm gonna let Mia ask the last question. We just have a few more questions for you. This is what he said on Alex Jones.
So again, I want Israel to stop doing what it's doing. And Dan, do you think Israel's one monolith? Do you think they're all bad over there?
No, I don't think they're all bad, but I do think it's a sick society. And you brought up the shootings at the food station. I mean, there was, so many examples of just horrific things. Hind Rajab, Rachel Corrie, you've got there was the Palestinian ambulance workers that had their lights on. They're in uniform. They're going to help somebody, and they got gunned down by Israelis. Israel denied it. And then they found the footage in the shallow grave that they had buried these people. That showed exactly, what they said was a complete lie. They had just gunned down Palestinian ambulance workers. They've done so many atrocious acts. And you look at their society, and a lot of their society supports this. More than 50% support this genocide that's going on in Gaza. More than 50% believe that they're operating and living in apartheid and support it. So it's a society of supremacy, and that supremacist mindset comes from the Jewish religion in general, because Judaism believes that they are chosen by God and that they are better than other people. And if you look into the Talmud of what it says, it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal from non-Gentile or from Gentiles. Jews have different sets of laws than Gentiles. So they really look at themselves as being better than Gentiles and separate from Gentiles. And I think that is the source of the problem. It's not Israel, it's the religion, which is why, I'm not just anti-Zionism. I am against Jewish supremacy, because these problems have been occurring before Israel.
Okay.